The Supreme Court's landmark decision to terminate the Trump administration's Liberation Day tariffs has sent shockwaves through global markets, reverberating far beyond the United States. Investors, economists, and policymakers worldwide are now scrambling to assess the full impact of this unexpected move, which many see as a turning point in international trade relations. These tariffs, once central to President Trump's aggressive trade policy, were designed to protect American industries, but also sparked intense debate and retaliation from trading partners. With their sudden removal, the U.S. signals a dramatic shift in its economic strategy, moving away from protectionism and toward a more open, cooperative approach to global commerce. The timing of the ruling is especially significant, as global economies are still struggling to recover from the after-effects of the pandemic. Supply chains remain fragile, inflation is a concern in many countries, and ongoing geopolitical tensions have kept markets on edge. The Supreme Court's decision adds a new layer of complexity to an already uncertain global economic landscape. For years, the tariffs strained both domestic and international relations, leading to trade wars, higher consumer prices, and disrupted supply chains. Now, with the court's ruling, there is hope for restoring traditional trade alliances and rebuilding trust between the U.S. and its global partners. Diplomats and business leaders are already engaging in renewed dialogue, eager to seize new opportunities for collaboration. The court's intervention underscores the delicate balance of power between the executive and judicial branches in shaping the nation's economic policy. Legal experts note that this decision could set a precedent for future cases involving presidential authority over trade, highlighting the judiciary's crucial role in maintaining constitutional checks and balances. Financial markets responded with remarkable speed. Stocks in import-dependent sectors, such as manufacturing and retail, surged on optimism for increased trade and reduced costs. Investors are betting that the removal of tariffs will lower expenses for businesses and boost consumer spending, potentially fueling economic growth in the months ahead. In boardrooms and government offices, businesses and policymakers are now recalibrating their strategies to adapt to the new trade landscape. Companies are reassessing supply chains, renegotiating contracts, and exploring new markets, while officials work to update trade agreements and ensure a smooth transition. While optimism is high, uncertainty remains. Many stakeholders are anxiously awaiting details on the administration's next steps, including potential new trade policies or regulations that could shape the future of international commerce. Economic advisors and analysts caution that the path forward may be complex, with both risks and opportunities ahead. As the world watches closely, the United States stands at a pivotal crossroads in its trade policy. The decisions made in the coming weeks and months will not only affect American businesses and consumers, but also have far-reaching consequences for the global economy. All eyes are on Washington as this new chapter in international trade begins to unfold. The Liberation Day tariffs, introduced by President Trump in April 2025, were meant to renegotiate trade deals and address perceived imbalances. Citing the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the administration faced immediate backlash over the legal basis for these measures. Critics argued the tariffs were an overreach of executive power, lacking a declared national emergency. This legal contention led to a prolonged court battle, culminating in the Supreme Court's recent decision. Economically, the tariffs increased costs for consumers and businesses, especially in manufacturing, leading to job losses and reduced competitiveness. Despite these issues, the administration insisted the tariffs were necessary for better trade agreements. The deep political and legal divisions over the tariffs set the stage for the Supreme Court's involvement. The Supreme Court's ruling to end the Liberation Day tariffs marked a pivotal turning point in the ongoing debate over the limits of presidential power in trade policy. For months, legal experts, lawmakers, and business leaders had anxiously awaited the court's decision, knowing it would set a precedent for how far the executive branch could go in imposing sweeping economic measures without explicit congressional approval. The debate over executive authority in trade had reached a fever pitch, with Congress and the White House locked in a standoff over who truly holds the power to shape America's economic destiny. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle expressed concern that unchecked executive action could undermine the balance of power envisioned by the Constitution. In its opinion, the court found that invoking the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to justify broad peacetime tariffs without a formally declared emergency was an overreach of presidential authority. The justices emphasized that the law was never intended to serve as a blank check for sweeping trade actions, and that such decisions should involve Congress, especially when they have far-reaching economic consequences. The economic backdrop to the ruling was one of uncertainty and stagnation. In 2025, the U.S. experienced its weakest job growth in over a decade, with manufacturing alone shedding 70,000 jobs. Many communities that once thrived on factory work faced closures and layoffs, fueling anxiety about the future and intensifying calls for policy change. Politically, the timing of the Supreme Court's decision could not be more significant. With the 2026 midterm elections just months away, President Trump's administration was already grappling with declining approval ratings, in part due to economic woes and public frustration over the tariffs' impact on everyday Americans. The ruling has the potential to dramatically reshape campaign strategies for both parties. Candidates are now forced to address the fallout from the tariffs and the court's decision, as voters demand clear answers on how leaders plan to restore economic stability and protect American jobs. While many economists and business leaders see the ruling as a step toward economic recovery, there are lingering concerns about how global trading partners might respond. Some fear that retaliatory measures could further disrupt markets, while others worry about the administration's next moves in the complex world of international trade. The White House has already hinted at the possibility of imposing alternative tariffs under different legal statutes, signaling that the battle over trade policy is far from over. This adds yet another layer of complexity to an already volatile and evolving trade landscape. Ultimately, the timing and substance of the Supreme Court's decision are likely to have lasting political and economic consequences, shaping not only the upcoming elections, but also the future of American trade policy for years to come. Experts from a range of fields have weighed in on the Supreme Court's recent decision, emphasizing not only its immediate economic and legal significance, but also its far-reaching implications for the future. The ruling has sparked intense debate among economists, legal scholars, and policy analysts, each offering unique perspectives on what this means for the country's economic stability and the rule of law. Many agree that the decision marks a pivotal moment, one that could reshape the landscape of both domestic and international policy for years to come. Mark Zandi of Moody's Analytics argues that removing the tariffs could quickly revive economic activity and restore business confidence. He points out that businesses, which have faced months of uncertainty, may now feel more secure in making investments and hiring decisions. According to Zandi, the ripple effects could extend beyond manufacturing, potentially boosting consumer spending and encouraging growth in related industries. This renewed optimism, he suggests, could help stabilize markets and set the stage for a broader economic recovery. Legal scholars say the ruling reaffirms boundaries on executive power, with the court asserting its authority at a politically opportune moment. They note that this decision sends a clear message about the limits of presidential authority, especially in matters that have significant economic consequences. By stepping in now, the court has not only clarified the legal framework but also reinforced the importance of checks and balances in the American system. This could influence how future administrations approach similar issues. Kevin Hassett, White House National Economic Council Director, says the administration is ready with a contingency plan, potentially new tariffs under the Trade Act of 1974. Hassett emphasizes that the government is prepared to act swiftly to protect American interests should the need arise. He also highlights ongoing discussions with international partners, signaling that the administration is considering a range of policy tools to address any emerging challenges. This proactive stance, he believes, will help maintain stability during this period of transition. The economic community is cautiously optimistic, but acknowledges the challenges ahead in navigating international trade and domestic politics. Analysts warn that while the decision may open new opportunities, it also introduces fresh uncertainties, particularly as global markets react and political negotiations continue. Many are watching closely to see how businesses adapt and whether policymakers can strike a balance between economic growth and regulatory oversight. As the situation unfolds, experts will continue to monitor the impacts of this landmark decision. They will track key economic indicators, legal developments, and shifts in public sentiment, providing ongoing analysis to help guide both policymakers and the public. The coming months are expected to bring further debate and possibly new legal challenges as stakeholders adjust to the evolving landscape. The path forward will test the resilience of both markets and policymakers, demanding adaptability, careful planning, and a willingness to engage in constructive dialogue. As the nation moves ahead, the decisions made now will shape the economic and legal environment for years to come. The end of the Liberation Day tariffs could bring relief to a struggling U.S. job market, especially in manufacturing. The sector has faced job losses and reduced competitiveness, with tariffs blamed for stagnation and disrupted supply chains. Removing these tariffs is expected to spur job growth and revitalize affected industries. However, the long-term impact depends on the administration's response and the global economic environment. Experts warn that new tariffs or policy shifts could reintroduce uncertainty. Sustainable job growth will require more than just tariff removal. It demands investment in workforce retraining and emerging industries. The Supreme Court's decision has major implications for businesses and trade relations. Over 1,000 companies, including major retailers, have been affected, many seeking refunds for tariffs already paid. The ruling offers a chance to recoup losses and plan for a more predictable trade environment. For businesses, lower costs mean greater competitiveness and opportunities for growth. Internationally, the decision could ease tensions and open the door to more collaborative trade negotiations. Yet, the administration's potential backup plan for new tariffs introduces fresh uncertainty. Businesses and policymakers must now navigate a complex, shifting landscape. The Supreme Court's ruling carries significant political and legal consequences ahead of the 2026 midterms. The decision challenges a key Trump policy, potentially weakening his political standing and influencing voter sentiment. Legally, it reaffirms limits on executive power and sets a precedent for future administrations. The timing underscores the judiciary's role in shaping economic policy and maintaining checks and balances. As the midterms approach, the ruling will be a focal point in debates over trade and executive authority. The outcome of these elections will shape the next chapter of U.S. trade policy. The Supreme Court's decision has sparked a range of reactions from the international community. Key partners like the EU and China welcome the move as a step towards stability and renewed dialogue. The end of the tariffs is expected to ease tensions and promote more collaborative efforts on trade. Global markets have responded with optimism, anticipating stronger partnerships and economic growth. Still, the possibility of new tariffs introduces uncertainty for future relations. International partners will watch closely for signs of a more predictable U.S. trade policy. The decision sets the stage for renewed diplomacy and sustainable global partnerships. The Supreme Court's decision marks a pivotal moment in U.S. trade policy. It underscores the need for legal frameworks and a balanced approach to international relations. The focus now shifts to rebuilding trust with trading partners and revitalizing the job market. The administration's response and the outcome of the 2026 midterms will shape the future of U.S. trade. This is a chance to reset and redefine America's role in the global economy. As the nation moves forward, the world will be watching how the U.S. charts its course. The next chapter in trade will demand fairness, transparency, and cooperation.